Am I audible? Ashish, thank you for sharing your mobile number. I'll note it down. I can use that mobile number, right? Right? I can use that mobile number. All right. So, Kanpur, anybody from Kanpur? Anybody from Delhi? Anybody from Lucknow? Huh? So Anjali is asking that. Is there anybody in the group from Kanpur? Huh? No, Anjali is asking that. Is there anybody from Kanpur? I have been to Kanpur 2-3 times. Right? I have been to Kanpur 2-3 times. IIT Kanpur, right? I've been to the campus of IIT Kanpur. Right? You know that GT Road and that side. And long way back, very long way back. I think 2010 I went to Kanpur, right? So I remember that Kanpur is very hot, very warm city, and GT Road that time, so much of pollution, right? There was so much of vehicular pollution and all. It was breathtaking, very that time there. I don't know what is the situation now in Kanpur now, right? And there is a university, no? Sahuji Maharaj University in Kanpur, right? So I've been to Kanpur. I've been Kanpur, right? I've been to Kanpur there, right? So I can read all your chat messages. Whatever chat messages are there, I can read all of them. Your all right to privacy is lost. Your all right to privacy is lost, right? Because whatever you write in the chat message, it will be visible to me. So whatever your personal discussion, that will also be visible to me. All right. So anyway, just kidding, right? ऐसे ही मजाक कर रहा था. So दिल पे नहीं लेना है, right? You don't have to take into heart. I'm just in a light mood. I thought to just to talk to all of you. Meanwhile, everybody joined the class. I think let me see attendance of the class. Okay, so most of the people have joined now in the classroom. So I was just waiting for everybody to join the class. Till then I was just having a light chat with all of you. All right. And again, remember that I will keep on, interacting with you during the entire class. All right, we'll keep on interacting on that. Shall we start the class? I think most of the people have joined the class. So, can we start the class now? Let me see. I think most of the people have joined now. I will start the class now. I think most of the people have joined the class. So I will start the class then. Very good evening everyone. I hope you all are fine and keeping yourself safe. So again, this class will be very interactive class. I will interact with each one of you and you can ask your doubt. I will be there to address your doubt also there. Today's class will be again important in the context that whatever topic I will cover in the classroom, right, the theory part of it and its application part of it, what has come in the current news, right, we will see through some kind of reports, the Hindu newspaper or government reports, right, even sometime I can take you to the United Nations, UN report and all those will cover that. So in the previous class we have covered biogeochemical cycle and there we have discussed about gaseous cycles, water cycle and carbon cycle, right. Two of the gaseous cycles we have covered in the previous class. Now we are left with two more gaseous cycles, nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle, and two cycles from sedimentary cycle, that is sulfur cycle and the phosphorus cycle. So what we'll do first in the classroom, we'll complete these four areas: nitrogen cycle, oxygen, sulfur and phosphorus. Then we'll go into a very important topic. Today's class is going to be very important. As I said in the last class that I am going to start biodiversity topic. We'll start the topic of biological diversity. It is a very important topic for all kinds of examination, whether UPSC civil service exam or you appear in state PCS exam or any competitive exams. Biological diversity is a very important topic. We'll go to that topic and we'll study about ecosystem services, biodiversity values, measurement of biodiversity, biodiversity mapping. I will cover all those areas. And again, as every class, I am giving you revision through multiple choice questions. We will do the same thing in today's class also, right? So we will do one thing. We'll start first with the topic of nitrogen cycle, and then we connect the pollution areas, certain important involved issues which are linked with nitrogen pollution, right? Let us start with the subject. And what I'll do here, I will first give you notes. What I've decided in today's class, that nitrogen cycle and oxygen cycle, then sulfur cycle and phosphorus cycle, I will explain. At the same time, I'll also provide you the main points. There will be main points, and all of you, right, who are noting down in your note copy, can copy down from the whiteboard, from the iPad. On the iPad also, I have certain notes which you can copy down. So we'll start first with nitrogen cycle, right? You all know that nitrogen is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere. If you take the composition of all gases in the atmosphere, 78% is the nitrogen. Nitrogen is an inert gas, right? Nitrogen, diatomic nitrogen is an inert gas, right? It's an inert gas, and living organisms, let's say plants, animals, right, cannot directly take up nitrogen. Plants cannot directly take nitrogen gas. Like plants can take up carbon dioxide gas in the photosynthesis, but nitrogen gas cannot be uptaken. So nitrogen has to convert into some suitable forms like nitrate and all, which can be taken by roots of the plants from the soil. And then nitrogen becomes an important ingredient of organic matter, amino acids. You know that protein, I don't know, I think your batch biology has not been covered. Just to give a brief idea, when you talk about organic matter, we have 4 types of biomolecules. One is called carbohydrate, which is made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, right? Then you have protein, made of peptides, and peptide is made up of amino acids. There are 20 standard amino acids which make peptide chain, and peptide chain they fold to form the protein like hemoglobin, myoglobin, right? These are the proteins, right? Third biomolecule is lipid, fats and lipids, right? And the fourth is called nucleic acid, DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, RNA, ribonucleic acid, DNA, RNA, right, which are part of nucleic acids. So when you talk about nitrogen as an element, so nitrogen is found in protein because amino acid, amino, NH2. So nitrogen is present there. Nitrogen is a part of nucleic acid like DNA, RNA. DNA and RNA is made up of 5 carbon sugar and phosphate. Backbone is there. 5 carbon sugar and phosphate backbone like DNA, double helical structure. That double helix structure, the backbone is made of 5 carbon sugar with phosphate, and inside you have nitrogenous bases, right? Hydrogen bonded nitrogen bases are there. Adenine with thymine and cytosine with guanine. So this is nitrogen bases, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine contains nitrogen. I am giving you biological information. Why? Because nitrogen cycle and nitrogen, why it is so important for living organism, that's what I provided here. So what we'll do here, first we'll see important processes of nitrogen cycle. What we are going to learn? We are going to learn important processes of nitrogen cycle, and then we will come to the area of the environmental issues which are linked with nitrogen cycle. All right. So what you have to do, let us first go to the important processes. I will go through the points one by one, right? I'm going to cover those one by one. Let's have that. Okay, thank you. Okay, biology has been covered. All right, that's really good. You have covered biology. That's really good. That is then that will really help us to understand that. Okay, guys, अपना पेन और पेंसिल तैयार कर लीजिए और लिखना शुरू कर दीजिए. ठीक है जी? हाँ जी. Please start writing. So first I am coming to nitrogen cycle. Right, this notes I have just used in today's class in another batch. I was teaching in another batch. There I use this notes. So please write it down. I will also read out there. Please write, everybody. Please write the points there. Please write the points. I'll just explain the points there, and we'll see the question also there. Let's come to the part of it. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas. I have written in the bracket that 78% in the atmosphere is nitrogen. Right? Second point I have given here. Nitrogen is important to living organisms and is used in the production of amino acids. I have written here production of amino acids, comma, proteins and nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. Right? Like here, when you take here, there are DNA, like you all have studied biology there. As you know that DNA and RNA, they are made up of nitrogenous bases. Right? They are made up of nitrogenous bases there. Right? Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, they all comes into that. All right. Now important processes in the nitrogen cycle. Right. I am now going to 5 processes of nitrogen cycle. Right. There are 5 processes of nitrogen cycle there. So I am now going to one by one. First is the nitrogen fixation. The first thing which comes here, nitrogen fixation. Anywhere you want me to scroll up, I can scroll up there. I want everybody to note it down. Then I'll come to the whiteboard and then I'll go into the topics there. So here, nitrogen fixation. Right? So here nitrogen can be changed to nitrate. Say I'll underline the point here. What I'll do here, so that you are able to understand here, I'm using a different color here. See, nitrogen can be changed to nitrate. It converts to nitrate directly by the process of lightning. See, what happens when there is a lightning in the sky, right? When there is lightning in the sky, thunderstorm and lightning. So N2 reacts with oxygen to form NO2. It forms NO2. And through rain, right? Through rainwater, it comes down to the earth. Right? That is one process what I have marked here as rainwater. Nitrogen can be fixed by, see, nitrogen can be fixed by free living, there are free living as well as symbiotic bacteria. Symbiotic bacteria, cyanobacteria, like what we call as a blue-green algae, right? For example, rhizobium. If we take example here, like for example, rhizobium, which is found in root nodules of leguminous plant. Then blue-green algae, you will find nostoc, anabena. These are the example of blue-green algae or cyanobacteria. Now another aspect which I have given here, nitrogen is also fixed by humans. Industrial production of ammonia, right? Industrial production of ammonia, where we make fertilizer, right? Industrial production of ammonia, that is done through Haber's process, right? That is the made by the process called as the Haber's process. I have written there. Here there is a process called a Haber's process. Haber's process there. So there are three methods are there. What are three methods? One is that during the lightning, the nitrogen convert to oxides of nitrogen in the atmosphere, and through rain it comes down. Second is the microorganism found in the soil which is capable of fixing nitrogen. And third one is nitrogen production of ammonia or ammonium fertilizer with the help of Haber's process, industrial production of that, right? That is the first stage in nitrogen cycle. All these processes, you have to be aware of it. All these processes which I am discussing right now, you have to be aware of that. Now let's look at here. I hope that you all are copying that. Now let's look at here. Let's look at a question here. कौन बनेगा सिविल सर्वेंट? KBC. So we are having a new KBC here. कौन बनेगा सिविल सर्वेंट? All right. So our first question there. I'm just giving you one question here. Like for example, a direct question. Which of following organic matter consists of nitrogen? I am giving you a biological question here. A very simple question here. Carbohydrate, protein. You have covered in your biology class also there. Lipid, nucleic acid, right? And you have an option here. I am now giving you an option here. Let's say you have an option here that A, 2 only, B, 2 and 4 only, C, 2, 3 and 4 only, and D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So what will be answer here? A very simple question. I have given a very simple question from biology point of view. So what shall be the answer here? Okay. So the answer is here where nitrogen is present. Where nitrogen present? It is made of protein, amino acids. So 2 is correct. Nucleic acid here. Again you have a nitrogenous basis. So 4 is correct. What about lipid? What about lipid? Does lipid contain nitrogen? Does lipid contain nitrogen? My question very simple one. I am asking a biological question that is nitrogen present in lipid? Is it present in lipid? Do lipids contain nitrogen? How many people think that lipids contain nitrogen? How many think that lipids contain nitrogen? Good, very good. Good, very good. lipid also contain nitrogen, right? Mostly made of that, but again lipid can also contain the nitrogen. So the answer is C. The answer is C here. Lipid may also contain nitrogen. Very good, very good. Good. Keep it up. Right? Nitrogen can be also present in lipid there. Right? And can be also present there, and particularly in the microorganisms. Where you can find there? In microorganisms there. Right? In microorganisms, lipid can be present there. Now let's look at here. I'm just taking to that part. Look at here. Although, see what is there? Although lipids are made of carbon, hydrogen, but they may also contain oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur and phosphorus. Right? They may also contain that kind of a molecule there. And what you can see right now, what I opened there. And lipids are basically fatty acid and this part, right? The unsaturated, saturated fatty acid, right? This is where the lipid contains there. But sometimes the lipid can also consist of that biological membrane, right? They are made of lipids there, right? They are made of lipids and all this. So I'll not go into a very detailed part of it, but you have studied in your biology class. In your biology class, you would have studied that the lipids are very diverse type of molecule, and their broad range of chemical compounds are there. So here the answer, right? The answer is here. All of these are correct. Answer is C here. Answer is C. Now look at another question that I am asking another question that I'll come back to the notes, but let me ask the question that my second question is, which of following can be used as biofertilizer? Let's say if I ask a question that which of the following can be used as biofertilizer, and I am giving you a choice here: nostoc, rhizobium, right, lichen, and you have a choice here, two only, one and two only, one, two and three, and then I am giving you a choice here, none here. So what will be answer here? Question number 2, what will be answer here? What will be answer here? Alright, so nostoc is a blue-green algae, and the nitrogen fixing bacteria there, right, which is called cyanobacteria. There's cyanobacteria there. So nostoc is correct. Rhizobium, you know that is again nitrogen fixing bacteria and can provide nitrogen to the soil, to the plant. Right, it can provide that. What is lichen? Lichen is a symbiotic association of cyanobacteria and fungi. Can lichen be used as a biofertilizer? Can lichen be used as biofertilizer? Lichen or lichen be used as biofertilizer? Can it be used or not? Can be used as a biofertilizer? Can we use lichen as a biofertilizer? I want your answer from your side. Lichen is made of cyanobacteria and fungi. Can lichens provide the? No, rhizobium is also symbiotic. Rhizobium is also symbiotic. Can lichen fix nitrogen? I am getting a mixed answer from your side. I am getting a mixed answer from your side. I am getting a very mixed answer from your side. Now let's look at here. I am just taking you to the part of it. If you see here, I am just taking you to certain research journal. Now look at here, this one. Now look at here. Nitrogen fixation in lichens is important for improved rock weathering. Right? And they can provide that. Like here, if you see this article in PubMed there, what it says that cyanobacteria in cyanolichens fix nitrogen. They are capable of doing the nitrogen there. Right? Blue-green algae which are found there can be possible to do that. Again, you can see here nitrogen fixation in lichens is important for improved rock weathering there. I have given you very close kind of part of that. It can be used, that one. All right. So here the answer, even this will also be correct there. There are some kind of lichens we can also, it can help provide the nitrogen to the soil. It can break down the rocks and can provide the nitrogen there. So even C is also correct. Here the answer C is also correct. Alright. Answer C can also be correct there. Alright. Alright. So guys, please write here. First, I am just giving here. First you write it down. I am just coming to the part of it. Now look at here. So please write it down. Those who have missed out, please write it down. I am giving you time to copy it down. Please copy the points there. Please copy the points. Please copy the points here. I have got back to that. Please first copy the points. Please write it down there. All right, now see here. What I given here, first point is that nitrogen fixation that happens through three processes there, right, which we have in the written on the part of it. All right, so do all I've copied, then I'm coming to the whiteboard. I'm coming to the whiteboard. Have you copied it? Have you copied it? First point, have you copied the first point? I'll come to the whiteboard then. Let's look at here. I know that many of you are very young guys. अभी भी ताज़ा कॉलेज से में हैं, ठीक है, और आप कर नहीं पा रहे हो, ठीक है. I can understand your problems. So let's do one thing here. I'll come to the whiteboard. Forget about that notes, right? The notes which I have done in the next earlier class, I am forgetting about that. Now please concentrate on the whiteboard. So nitrogen cycle here. Now you write whatever I am writing on the whiteboard there. So nitrogen cycle, if you look at here, what happens in nitrogen cycle is that here you have five basic processes are there. Nitrogen cycle has got 5 important processes here. Let me use the whiteboard to make you understand them. Right, 5 more processes are there. What is the first one? The first one, here comes nitrogen fixation. What you have written there, nitrogen fixation. Now what happens in nitrogen fixation is that atmospheric nitrogen, right, that gets fixed there, and it is done through 3 processes. One is that through the lightning process, right. Second, it happens through with the help of nitrogen fixing microorganisms, right. These microbes which can fix their free living or symbiotic, they can do the fixation part. And third, we have said here, that is an industrial process of manufacturing ammonia and ammonium fertilizer. We make ammonium fertilizer. Let's say ammonium phosphate and all this, right? Ammonium phosphate and all. Through that we make that. Forget about that notes. Forget about it. I'm doing everything on the whiteboard. Now you follow the whiteboard. Whatever I'm teaching on the whiteboard, now you follow that. Question part, I'll come to the on the iPad. I'll write the question there. All right. Is it okay there? Because initially many of you were finding difficult. So I'm coming back to the previous mode. I'm using the whiteboard. Is it all right to everybody? So here 3 methods by which nitrogen can be fixed. All right. Now what happens? The second one, number 2. The second method which comes here of nitrogen fixation, that is called nitrification. Now the next word comes here, nitrification. Now let's understand here this process, what is called nitrification. Now what happens in nitrification is that ammonia, when we use the fertilizer, right? Ammonium fertilizer we use in the agricultural land. So what happens here is that the ammonia, right, is by soil bacteria is converted into nitrite, NO2 minus, and then oxidized to nitrate, right? So this is called nitrification. The nitrifying bacteria are there which can make this. So what happens in soil, ammonium ion, when we use fertilizers, ammonium ion that gets converted to nitrite. By bacteria, it can convert to nitrite, and then finally it gets oxidized to nitrate. This is called as a nitrification. This process is called as a nitrification. Then what happens is this nitrate in the soil, right? In the soil, the nitrate that will be taken by green plants. So next process what comes here, that is called assimilation. What is the next process? Next process called as a assimilation. So what is assimilation? So here plants take up nitrate from the soil. I am writing also there, nitrate from soil, and convert nitrogen to organic matter, like protein and all, which contain the organic matter. That is called as assimilation. Right, protein becomes there. Now what will happen with this protein there? Now the plants will be eaten by, now will come, what will happen here? This plants producer which contain the protein there, like a protein and all which has the plant, this will be eaten by animals, herbivores, carnivores. So that will become the part of food chain and food web. Right? Now what happens the next stage here? The fourth process of the nitrogen cycle is that after death and decomposition, there is another process called as a ammonification. What is the process called as? Ammonification. What is the process called as a ammonification? So what happened after death? After death of plants and animals, again the bacteria will break down the protein, right? After death of plants and animals, so this protein which is present there is broken down. Bacteria will broken down to amino acids. It is broken down to amino acids to ammonia. This is called as the ammonification. What is ammonification here? After death of plants and animals, please write simultaneously. After death of plants and animals, protein present in the dead organic matter is broken down to amino acids to ammonia. So what is happening here? Dead matter here, organic matter, which has the protein, right? And this is now converted into ammonia. Now this is called as ammonification, right? And now what will happen with ammonia? This ammonia will get cycled. This ammonia gets cycled. Again this ammonia will go into nitrification. This ammonia get again cycled. It will again go to nitrification. Ammonia into nitrite to nitrate. Again it will go to assimilation. Plants, animals and food chain. Again death of plants and animals. Again protein is broken down into ammonia. And then again ammonia will be get circulated. Right? Now there is a last process, what is called as here denitrification. What is the next last process here? It's called denitrification. See, first you understand the theory part. I am trying to first bring about theory part. What is denitrification? Where soil nitrate, where the nitrate is there in the soil, right? NO3 minus, by bacteria is converted into free nitrogen gas. Is converted into free nitrogen gas. And this free nitrogen gas goes to atmosphere. This is called as a denitrification. This is called as a denitrification, right? And again you know that, again this nitrogen, what will happen with this nitrogen in the atmosphere? Again it will go to the nitrogen fixation. It will again go to the nitrogen fixation. Are you now comfortable? I have seen your response. That's what I said. Live chat, I am keeping it because I can see your response, whether you are able to understand or not. मैं हूँ ना, मैं हूँ ना. Whatever concern you have, whatever things are there, I am always there to help you out. A teacher understands students. ठीक है? Anshul Misra, comfortable now? Many of you initially wrote that to go back to the previous mode. So I have done that. Now you all are comfortable. There is whiteboard which I have written the points. So what is first thing? You should know the processes. You should know the processes. So first copy down now. I'll give you time. Please copy this. Please copy this one. Then I'll take your doubts and then we'll go to the next one. Right? First write it down. I think now you are comfortable. Anshul Mishra and all the students who were worried initially in the classroom, sir. है ना? See, a teacher like me always care for students. एक दूजे के लिए, है ना? वो है ना मूवी था ना, एक दूजे के लिए, राइट? Don't worry, I am always there. See, I am continuously watching you in the live chat. I am there for you all people. Don't worry. कहीं भी कोई भी दिक्कत होता है आप रेज करना. I am always there with you. ठीक है? Most welcome. I am very happy. Most welcome. You all are very good students. I have been telling you from day one. I have been telling you from day one that you all students are very, very nice students and you all are going to clear the exam. Right? So don't worry about it. Please copy now. Now you should copy this one. Right? It will be easier for all to copy the whiteboard. So please copy this. Atmosphere back to okay. Now let's look at here. This one, see what happened, denitrification. The denitrifying bacteria is there. So this free nitrogen gas will again go back to the atmosphere. It will again go back to the atmosphere. It will again go back to the atmosphere. And from atmosphere, what will happen there? It will again go to the process of nitrogen fixation. Again, it will go to the process of nitrogen fixation. Again, nitrogen fixation. Right? It will again use the process of nitrogen fixation there. Alright. I will again summarize there. Right? I'll again summarize the part. Right? I'll again summarize. See, there are 5 important processes which you need to keep in mind, right? There is a 5 process. There's a theory part. It's a static part. See, UPSC may ask you, may not ask you, but it's static. Now let's say, for example, nitrogen fixation. All right. So either through lightning, like what happened lightning there, N2 will combine with oxygen to form NO2, and through rainwater, it can come down to the earth. Right? Through the rainwater, it can come down to the earth here. Through the rain, it can come down to the earth. Or nitrogen fixing microbe, I have said rhizobium and all this example comes there. Then, or Haber's process, industrial manufacture, ammonium phosphate fertilizers and all, and we use the agriculture land. Then what happened? Nitrification, where the ammonium ion. So what is nitrification? Here ammonia is converted to nitrates. That is called as a nitrification. So this fertilizer what we are using, that comes to the nitrate, and these are taken by green plants. It will be taken by green plants. What is called assimilation. Organic matter. It becomes organic matter. Plants take up nitrate from soil and convert nitrogen to organic matter. It becomes the part of protein and all this. Right? Then comes plant protein to animals through food chain, food web. When the plants animals die, ammonification. After death of plants and animals, protein is broken down to amino acid to ammonia. So protein to ammonia is called ammonification. And again this ammonia will go back to nitrification. This ammonia will get circulated to the nitrification. Again it will convert into nitrate, green plants assimilation, again this goes into that. And again last denitrification. Certain bacteria will be able to break down nitrate in the soil into free nitrogen gas, and that will go to atmosphere. Again there will be nitrogen fixation. अभी क्लास में याद करना है. You have to remember right now in the classroom. Don't leave it at the last moment. This all 5 process has to be there in the hard drive, in your memory. If you understand this 5 process, then done are done. Then you don't have to worry. Right? Is it clear? Once you understand this 5 process, it's done. Static part, always remember that. All the static part, all the theory part, you have to do it only once. Once you have done it, ho gaya. Then you don't have to worry about. You have to connect with the other aspect of the topic there. Right? Clear there? So, fertilizer, the last word was not visible on screen in first step. Here. Okay, last word is fertilizer. This is fertilizer. It becomes a fertilizer. Right? Ammonium fertilizer. I have written here ammonium fertilizer. Now it is all right there. Ammonium fertilizer. Now everyone is clear there. Like for example, ammonium phosphate. I'll just give you example. Ammonium phosphate. Right? Ammonium phosphate. Ammonium fertilizer. Correct? All right. Assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation is that this nitrate is taken by green plants. Roots of the plant will absorb nitrate. Nitrate in the soil will be absorbed by plants. Right? And that plant will convert into metabolic process into amino acid to protein or DNA, RNA, whatever the molecules are there. And when the plant will be eaten by herbivores, carnivores. So what will happen there? Herbivores and carnivores which will feed on the plant, right? Then the animal will get protein. The protein will be made in the animals there. Right? That is called assimilation. What is assimilation? Biological process of taking the nitrate from the soil and then converting that into protein. That is called assimilation. All right? Clear there? Have you all copied this one? Have you all copied this? After denitrification, what happens is that the free nitrogen gas go to the atmosphere. And again the nitrogen fixation. What happens after denitrification? The free nitrogen which is released, it goes to the atmosphere. And again through the nitrogen fixation process, it comes to the earth. It gets cycled. Nitrogen gets cycled. Nitrogen, see lichens, there are some kind of lichens. If we want to design, we can use as a biofertilizer. Normally, you will find nostoc, anabena, or part of rhizobium bacteria they are used. But we can, through lichen also, we can use that. That's what I have given you that. There is some kind of research area. Always remember that. There are certain type of advanced research. And you know, UPSC experts, those who set the question, they are very, very expert. They know what is happening worldwide. What are the research areas? And they can give you this one. In textbook, when you read textbook, you will only come across rhizobium or nostoc, anabena, azolla. You will never come across lichens. But the lichens area is an advanced area. Right? I'll show you that part. I'll show you that part of that. That Aradhana is asking the question there. Now if you see here, this lichens part. The research study which has been done, and I am going to see here what is given here. This research study what is done here. Cyanobacteria in cyanolichens fix nitrogen. Certain type of lichens. See here the first sentence. It is known that cyanobacteria, because what is lichen? Lichen is a symbiotic relation between cyanobacteria, blue-green algae and fungi for the nutrition there. Specific use of nitrogen fixation has been examined. And there is a study has been done there. Right? Now you can see here, study has been done. Experimentally that a mutualistic interaction between heterotropic nitrogen fixer and lichen fungi. It has been studied in the lab. Right? This is what the article, now you can see here, this article here. That's what, see, my part of the question in the examination is this one. Some advanced research, these are advanced research. See what is given here. Nitrogen fixation in lichens is important for improved rock weathering. Right? And given here, see, cyanobacteria and the cyanolichens fix nitrogen for the nutrition. Same thing is there, right? And you can see here, see, cells of the nitrogen fixing bacteria attached to the mycelial mats of all fungi, forming a biofilm. And you can see it has a nitrogen fixing activity. This was seen in the lab. This was seen in the lab there. So we can design such kind of lichen also there. It is also possible there. Clear there, Aradhana? Aradhana, is it clear here? Denitrification is done by bacteria. All these are done by bacteria. This is all done by bacteria found in the soil. They are involved into that. Okay, there are certain questions are there. In carbon sink, photosynthesis also have carbon produced as glucose. So why it will be called as carbon sink, not emission. Carbon produced as glucose, the carbon produced, but it is not emitted to the atmosphere, right? Rehan, when the photosynthesis is there, carbon dioxide gas will not go to the atmosphere, right? That will not go to the atmosphere. That is converted and fixed into glucose. Tanvi is asking question. Allogenic and autogenic. I'll see to that one. Okay, bottom side of this is not visible. Okay, I'll make sure there. There are fungi. There are certain type of fungi which cannot fix there. Not all bacteria. Always remember, not all bacteria and all. Right. Not all bacteria and all can be used in that case. Aradhana, your question, see, this is just the experimental kind of can be designed there. Right, Aradhana, you are worried about this biofertilizer part. It can be used as a biofertilizer. Remember that. Scientists are trying to develop there. Even today we are not using as a there, but my question is that can we use lichen as biofertilizer? Is there any possibility to use as a biofertilizer? It is possible there. Right? Now your question there are certain questions coming from students that other than bacteria, not all bacteria can fix nitrogen. There are many other bacteria which cannot fix nitrogen. Sulfur bacteria, thiobacillus, sulfur spring and all this. So that is not that is based on sulfur, not on nitrogen. All bacteria are not nitrogen fixing bacteria. You have to always keep in mind. All microorganisms cannot fix nitrogen. There are certain examples are there. And somebody was asking in the class denitrification. Denitrification is the process where the denitrification, what happens is that the bacteria, there are certain bacteria called denitrificants. They break down the nitrate and release the nitrogen through chemical process. Right? We don't have to go into too much of chemistry. We don't have to go into too much of chemistry and too much of biology. We don't require. From environment and ecology perspective, you should know the basic areas that what are the processes in the nitrogen cycle. And then we have to connect with the environmental issues. Right? We don't have to go to too much of biology and too much of chemistry. That is not required for the exam. But yes, you are aware that as a nitrogen cycle, how nitrogen gets cycled. So you know that these are 5 processes are there. Right? Is it clear here? All right there. I am giving the can be used. See, the question is can be used or not. Like lichens can be used or not. Even there maybe in the lab case design and all, but can be used or not. All right. So what I'll do now, I am going to now connect nitrogen cycle with the issues with environment. We'll cover environmental issues now. Right? So what you can do, first you watch this documentary. Then I'll come to environmental issues. I will discuss environmental issues with respect to nitrogen cycle. Right? So that's where it comes here. Right? So let us now come into that part. Just watch this.
Nitrogen pollution poses one of the most serious challenges to the environment, And yet, remarkably, it doesn't have a high profile with the public at large. Nitrogen, of course, is vital for all living organisms, but we have doubled the availability of reactive nitrogen since the Industrial Revolution. Of course, it's come with huge social and economic benefits. For example, the use of nitrogen fertilizers and crops that naturally fix nitrogen has enabled us to dramatically increase our agricultural production. Half the food eaten today is using fertilizers with nitrogen in them. And of course, there are many industrial uses for nitrogen as well. But this massive mobilization of reactive nitrogen is starting to have serious and far-reaching impacts on the environment that have been overlooked. The good news is that we're not starting completely from scratch. Nitrogen management is an integral part of environmental policies in quite a lot of countries. The bad news, however, is that notwithstanding that, nitrogen pollution is in many cases getting worse, which suggests that we don't have the right policies in place.
Nitrogen is a major challenge to us. Political agreements since 1990 has substantially reduced nitrogen oxide emissions from the European part of our region. But we still see critical loads of nitrogen deposition being exceeded in large parts, and we see no evidence of ecosystems recovering where the deposition has been reduced. We do not know how long it takes for ecosystems to respond. So it is clear that current commitments under our protocols is not enough to hamper further accumulation of nitrogen in the ecosystems.
That depends on where the pollution is taking place and the form it takes. And that means distinguishing between local and global impacts. Local nitrogen pollution hotspots will require a cap. They'll actually require a reduction below the current level if we are going to avoid permanently damaging ecosystems. There are limits to the amount of nitrogen that local catchments can absorb without causing permanent harm. When it comes to the global level, we're talking about the climate change implications of nitrous oxide. The Paris Agreement on climate change sets a global temperature target, but it doesn't set an individual reduction target for each of the greenhouse gases. That's been left up to countries to do. Countries can't ignore nitrous oxide in their climate response. We need to monitor and report progress on tackling nitrogen pollution at the national level.
According to the last protocol, the Gothenburg Protocol, parties have committed to establish national nitrogen budgets. And these nitrogen budgets serve multiple purposes. They serve to estimate the excess of nitrogen in the economy and thus inform policymakers. They also give information on where to focus action, and they also monitor the effects of policies and measures. They serve to do inter-country comparisons, and they also identify knowledge gaps and help thus further research.
A headline indicator like this could provide an early warning of whether policies really are reducing the amount of nitrogen pollution or whether they're simply moving that pollution from one location to another.
A very important documentary I have played right now. I have played a very important documentary in terms of the nitrogen problem there, and I'm just requesting again all of you, have you copied all the points, because I will clean the whiteboard. I am now coming to important part from the examination. See, this is just a static part. This is just a static part, this is a theory part which you need to remember that, right? But again, what I said that we have to connect static with the dynamic part, where possibly UPSC can ask questions, right? Interrelate the concept part of it, right? So that's what I'm saying, that along with me, whatever I'll teach on the whiteboard, please do copy this, and then I will go ahead with the explanation from the other perspective, which will be important for the examination. Together with questions, we'll have a practice of questions also there, right? So I hope that I have written the points here, you all have copied it, so that I can clean the whiteboard and can then explain what you have seen in the video. This video what I played is a very, very important video from European Union perspective, where too much of nitrogen in the environment is now a big concern worldwide. And not only Europe, even USA, Australia, in India also, the nitrogen, excessive nitrogen has now resulted problem, right? A number of environmental problems have come with excess nitrogen. So we'll discuss about that part, right? All right. So I'll clean the whiteboard then. Let's now clean the whiteboard. Now I'm coming to the part of it. See here. Now nitrogen cycle, that's a basic idea which you all got, that what is there for the purpose of understanding part of it. That is textbook understanding. This is the textbook understanding. Textbook understanding should be done only once. Once you have understood textbook, that's it. Then you don't have to worry. Now let's look at here. Excess nitrogen in the environment. Right? When there is excess nitrogen in environment, then that is a cause of problem there. Right? It can cause the problem there. Let's say understand from how you can understand that. Let's say when we use excessive fertilizer, nitrogenous fertilizer, right? What happens there? There is a agriculture runoff. When the rainwater comes, right? When the rain comes there, topsoil of the will get washed off by rainwater, and that goes to the water bodies. It goes to the water bodies, all the nutrients, and it causes a very important condition called a eutrophication. It results into eutrophication. It causes a condition called eutrophication. What is eutrophication? Eutrophication is a very simple word which means enrichment, right? Enrichment of water bodies. Whether the water bodies are fresh water or sea water, saline water, salt water. When there is an enrichment with pollutants, right? Enrichment of water with pollutant, with nutrients. Now in this context what happens? When there is a eutrophication which takes place because of runoff, when we are using fertilizer, in the agricultural land, when the rainwater comes, it washes off the topsoil, and then it goes to the stream, rivers, and to the sea and ocean. So water bodies get polluted. We call this as a eutrophication. Now what happens eutrophication? This results into a very important condition called as algal bloom. This causes algal bloom. What is algal bloom? Algae, green color algae. They find the nutrient, nitrate, phosphate, and they multiply very fast. They grow very fast and occupy the water bodies. Right? Algal bloom, that is a rapid. There is a rapid growth of algae. It results into rapid growth of algae in the water body. Right? The rapid growth happens there. Now what will happen? When this algae will die, when the algae will die there, death of the algae, right? So death of the algae here, the death and decomposition. So aerobic bacteria, right? Aerobic bacteria is this decomposition by aerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria in the water body, and this aerobic bacteria, right, consume oxygen, consume dissolved oxygen. It consume dissolved oxygen, and this results into a big problem. What is this problem called as? This results into BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, right? So this causes BOD, it causes biological oxygen demand. It results into biological oxygen demand. The dissolved oxygen of the water bodies decreases there. That declines there. Biological oxygen demand because of the eutrophication. It happens because of the eutrophication. BOD is caused there because of eutrophication. So dissolved oxygen will come there. We'll discuss, and that will called as a here dead zone. It creates dead zone in the lakes and wetlands and water bodies, and that the aquatic organisms, right? The aquatic organism like fishes and all, they will get killed. they get killed. This is the one of the problem. This is the one of the big problem where we are using too much of nitrogen. There is one problem I have brought there, which is linked with nitrogen cycle. This is linked with the nitrogen cycle. Now second here, fossil fuel. When we burn the fossil fuel, there is emission of NOx, nitrogen oxide, vehicular emission, thermal power plant, factories, industries, and this NOx which go to the atmosphere dissolve with rainwater and come down as acid rain. Acid rain is caused by nitrogen and sulfur. So what is the next aspect here? The next aspect which comes here, that is the burning of biomass. When we burn the biomass, right, burning of biomass, let's say in agriculture. I'll give you one very good example. For example, stubble. You all know stubble. You all have read that Delhi pollution, Delhi air pollution, smog. During the winter, Delhi suffer with smog because of burning of stubble in agricultural land of Haryana, Punjab and all this. This big issue has been created there. Now here, stubble burning, right? What will happen in stubble burning then in terms of burning of fossil fuel, right? Burning of fossil fuel, hydrocarbon and coal and all. So will result into what? This all this NOx, nitrogen oxide gas, NOx, right? And when it goes there, it can result into acid rain. It can result into the formation of acid rain. There is another issue with nitrogen there, right? Nitrogen can create a problem about the acidification, because you know that NOx, nitrogen oxide, when it dissolves with water, it forms nitric acid, nitrous acid. So it can result into the problem of acid deposition, which can affect ecosystem, soil, water bodies. There another big problem is there with nitrogen. Again, nitrogen also cause, third problem is that nitrogen, right? Nitrogen also results into oxides of nitrogen like NO2. NO2 can cause smog also there, right? Gas results into formation of photochemical smog. There is a one type of smog called as photochemical smog, and that happens because of ground level ozone. Photochemical smog. Now what happens photochemical smog? NO2 react with oxygen in presence of sunlight. In presence of sunlight, and it forms here NO plus O3, ground level ozone, tropospheric ozone. See, the ozone which is formed in atmosphere, stratosphere, that is good ozone. But this ground level ozone which is formed is a bad ozone. This is a bad ozone, is a pollutant. Is a pollutant there. And this bad ozone will react with VOC plus NO2 plus this ozone, ground level ozone. It forms a compound called PAN. What it forms there? PAN. What is PAN? PAN is peroxyacetyl nitrate. It is called peroxyacetyl nitrate. And that forms the smog. It results in the formation of smog. Photochemical smog, right? That causes the smog. This PAN which is formed, that results into smog. So see what I'm trying to do here in the classroom. What I'm trying to do here in the classroom, why I'm taking time, why I'm taking this time to make you understand is that one is the textbook where you read about nitrogen cycle. What are the processes in nitrogen cycle? Next stage is that how you connect with the environmental problems and issues there, which is being caused by nitrogen. Now this PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate, that gets suspended and forms photochemical smog, what is called summer smog. Right? That is what happens because of this one. Right? So nitrogen is a problem. Nitrogen becomes a problem in this context. So that's what I'm saying, that every cycle you have to connect with pollution and other kind of issues there. Right? What I'm trying to make you understand on the whiteboard there. Are you able to understand that? If you're not able to understand, I'll make you understand again. But this is very, very important for the examination. UPSC will ask question from here. You will get question from here. UPSC is not going to ask you nitrification or denitrification or ammonification. There UPSC will not ask the question. That's the basic understanding. but the question will be here. You'll get question from this part, right? So please write it down. Please copy this one. I'll now come to the question part of it. Let me see your doubts. Volatile organic compound. VOC is a volatile organic compound. Benzene, hydrocarbons, they are called volatile organic compounds. VOC stands for volatile organic compound. Yes, stubble is parali. Stubble is called parali. Stubble is parali, that is cause the problem there. We are burning of that one. Eutrophication. EUTRO, Rajan Singh is eutrophication, not U. Is EUTO, like eutrophication. Giridhar Ramrao Chavan is asking question, what happens after algal bloom? When algae grows very fast and the death of the algae, the dissolved oxygen get used up. So what I've written here, death and decomposition by aerobic bacteria, they consume dissolved oxygen, what is called BOD, biological oxygen demand. It creates biological oxygen demand. See what happens when the algae grows very, very fast. It will consume oxygen, right, process respiration. After death of algae also die very, very fast. So what will happen after the death of the algae? Aerobic bacteria in the water will break down the biomass of algae, and in the process of breakdown of organic matter, it will use oxygen. That use of oxygen, dissolved oxygen by aerobic bacteria, that results into biochemical oxygen demand, BOD is there. The BOD level goes higher. That means the dissolved oxygen get less in the water bodies. So fishes and other organisms will not be able to get enough of oxygen and they will die. That will cause the death of the aquatic organisms. Third point. See, nitrogen dioxide gas results in formation of photochemical smog. What is photochemical smog? When there is a brown colored gas, nitrogen dioxide gas, in the sunlight, in the presence of sunlight, it reacts with oxygen. NO2 reacts with oxygen and forms ozone. Ozone at the ground level, troposphere or the ground level, is a pollutant, is a hazardous pollutant. So ground level ozone is formed. Now what happens? NO2 gas, ozone and volatile organic compound, VOC, like vehicular emission, benzene, hydrocarbons and all this, they combine together to form a compound called PAN, PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate, which gets suspended. It gets suspended and form the photochemical smog. Right? Jyoti Singh is asking that PAN is a compound there. This get formed because of the reaction with VOC and NO2. Volatile organic compound and nitrogen dioxide gas with all this ozone which formed the ground level, they react to form a kind of chemical compound called PAN, peroxyacetyl nitrate, and that PAN as an aerosol gets suspended in the air. So it happens in the sunlight, what is called summer smog, Los Angeles smog, and it's formed there and is formed and suspended there. That is where the PAN comes. PAN is a chemical compound, just like suspended particle, it gets suspended there. Second point, I have already discussed that. Burning of biomass, stubble burning and all this result into nitrogen dioxide gas, which can react with rainwater and come as acid rain. It will act as an acid rain there. Last equation is simple there. VOC plus NO2 plus O3. Right? Let me write above there. What happens this one? Let me write here. What happens in this case is that when let's understand here, I'll write here. When there's NO2 gas is there, it reacts with oxygen in presence of sunlight. And it forms this ozone, ground level ozone is there. Now what will happen there? This NO2 plus ozone plus volatile organic compound VOC react to form a compound called PAN, peroxyacetylene nitrate, right? And this peroxyacetylene, this results into smog. This causes photochemical smog. This results into photochemical smog. Now the equation is clear here. I have written on the top of the board. This forms a kind of summer kind of smog, haze. It forms a haze. It was first time seen in Los Angeles. It's not a winter smog. Winter smog is something different, right? Volatile organic compound. I hope it is clear. I'll give you more understanding. I'll take you to certain website to make you more understanding. I have already explained 2-3 times there. Let me again come into that. Now let's look at here. Now let's look at this one. What you see right now, this is basically in America, this kind of problem is there. Nitrogen phosphorus, right? Which go to the too much of nitrogen phosphorus, it result into this kind of problem. What you see in the diagram here. Green color, what you see, that is the algae. Too much of nitrogen and phosphorus in the water, right? It can affect the public health, right? Can cause disease also there, and the part comes into that, right? Plus, what happens here, as I mentioned, that this is the smog. Brown haze and the smog, what you can see here. Excess nitrogen in the air can impair our visibility to breathe, limit visibility, and also alter plant growth. This is what is called photochemical smog. What you see in the diagram here. What you are seeing right now in the diagram, London smog is the cold one. This is just happens summertime there. And very clearly given here, see, too much of nitrogen and phosphorus in the water cause algae to grow fast. I am taking it to a government website. Then what it says that affect the aquatic ecosystem, right, reduces the oxygen level, and algal bloom are harmful to humans. They make elevated toxins, bacterial growth that can cause even problem for the health of the human beings. Now what has happened here? There's one study has been carried out. Now I'm taking to Hindu paper. Now look at the Hindu paper. The Hindu paper here, now look at it. This is the article which was published on 5th June 2018. That is the World Environment Day 2018. This article came there. And you can see here, what does you are seeing there? This is a stubble burning. This is a burning of stubble. And what is said here? Largest fraction of particulate matter 2.5, fertilizer, agriculture, untreated sewage causing the rise. Now if you see here further, nitrogen particles make up the largest fraction of particulate matter 2.5, which causes cardiovascular disease and respiratory illness. And North India, see here, it again burning of crop residue that can create the Delhi smog. There is winter smog, which was then London. Now you will see here, there one study has been carried out, what is called Indian Nitrogen Assessment Report. Right? There is a study done there, and what is found here? Agriculture remains the largest contributor of nitrogen emission. And you can see here, this is the study which has been done. Agriculture soil remains the largest contributor of nitrogen emissions. Like chemical fertilizers used in agriculture. Today we use urea and all this one. Then residential commercial activities also release nitrogen oxide. Wastewater treatment also release nitrogen oxide. So here, if you look at here, annual NOx emission, nitrogen oxide emissions from coal, diesel, fuel combustion is growing at a rate of 6.5% every year. And you can see here, fertilizer, nitrogen is one of the main input for agriculture, and that causes the water pollution plus greenhouse gas emission, right? So this is a study done by this Indian Nitrogen Initiative there, where the study was done. You can go to the Hindu paper and can read this article. This Hindu paper, this article is there. Nitrogen emission going up. You can read this article there. Yes, the burning of stubble is a big problem there. So, is it clear, everyone? All right, now let's look at here. If you are clear with this one, so what I'll do here is that I will take you to certain more aspect of that. Now let's come to that. I hope everybody is clear with the nitrogen problem, right? So let me clean the whiteboard then. Let me now clean the whiteboard. Now we'll come across, let me now come to the next part of it. We'll now come across another cycle, that is a oxygen cycle. So this is the way you have to prepare for UPSC exam. For UPSC exam, your approach, what shall be the approach? Your approach should be here that first you should read about the theory part, right? Why I am taking time and explaining all this? What should be your strategy for preparation of UPSC exam? First read the theory part, then connect with the application part, and connect with current affairs and the report. This will give you advantage. You will be able to learn more better, right? Now we are coming to another cycle, the last gaseous cycle, that is a oxygen cycle. Let us now understand oxygen cycle, right? We will now discuss about oxygen cycle. It's a very simple cycle, and the first part is that oxygen. Please copy this one. What I'm writing on the board, please copy that, right? Please copy that. I'll come to the questions later part, but first you copy all the points here. So oxygen cycle here. So what is first here is that oxygen, the first part is the stratosphere, atmosphere. What is the first part of oxygen cycle? That is atmosphere. Now in atmosphere, right, in the atmosphere part, you'll understand here. So we have discussed about ground level ozone. With nitrogen, what is the problem there? Bad ozone, ground level ozone, which is formed because of NO2 gas. And NO2 is because of burning of fossil fuel, burning of biomass, that result into the ozone at the ground level, or tropospheric ozone. That is a bad ozone. That is a bad ozone. Is a greenhouse gas, cause warming, cause health problem, right? And photochemical smoke, right? But there is another ozone. There is another ozone which is formed in the stratosphere, right? Another ozone which is formed in the stratosphere, that is called good ozone, and oxygen is linked with that. So what is here, that if you take Earth here, right, the first layer of Earth is the troposphere, right? In geography you would have covered that the first layer is the troposphere, right? Now it goes up to 15 to 18 kilometers, 15 to 18 kilometers, and then comes the stratosphere. Next level, what comes here? Stratosphere, right? Stratosphere. Now in stratosphere, lower part of stratosphere here, around 20 to 25 kilometers, 25 to this 30 kilometers around here, there is a formation of ozone molecule. Ozone molecule is formed, what is called ozone layer. There is the ozone layer which is formed, and ozone layer is formed. What happens with oxygen? Oxygen breaks to form oxygen atom. It results into oxygen atom, and that happens because of UV rays, ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet radiation breaks the oxygen molecule in the stratosphere into oxygen atom, and then this oxygen atom react with oxygen to form ozone. It results into formation of ozone. This we are talking about stratospheric ozone, which is a good ozone. Here we are talking about good ozone. Why it is called good ozone? It is called good ozone because it protects from harmful ultraviolet radiation. Harmful ultraviolet radiations which can cause skin cancer, skin problems. This ozone layer in the stratosphere removes that UV rays. So we on the earth get protected from this harmful radiations coming there, UV radiation. So one part of oxygen cycle is linked with the stratosphere where ozone is formed. So here what happens in stratosphere? So in the stratosphere, in this context, what we can understand with oxygen cycle is that ozone is formed. So here what happens? There is a kind of reversible reaction which result into the ozone formation. Right, this is where it happens in stratosphere. Now second part of the oxygen cycle, number 2, is linked with carbon cycle. Oxygen cycle linked to carbon cycle. Oxygen cycle is linked to carbon cycle by two processes. With two processes of photosynthesis and respiration. Of photosynthesis and respiration. Let's understand this. Let's understand this one. What happens in photosynthesis? What happens in photosynthesis here? You all have studied biology, you had bio class there, and you have studied in the botany part photosynthesis. What happens in photosynthesis? In photosynthesis, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water in presence of sunlight, right, in presence of sunlight, and you know the molecule called chlorophyll molecule, right, it converts into glucose, C6H12O6, and it also results oxygen. You all know that photosynthesis, what happens? Carbon dioxide taken by the plants and carbohydrate. There was one doubt also there. Rehan, I think Rehan is there in the classroom. Rehan has asked the question that how that carbon emission happens. See what happens in the photosynthesis as a carbon sink when the plants, algae, phytoplanktons take up CO2 gas. So that is converted into carbohydrate, glucose, C6H12O6, and it results into oxygen formation. So that is fixed. Carbon dioxide from atmosphere get fixed into organic matter. That becomes the carbohydrate or glucose. So here this glucose and oxygen is given out. So plant take the carbon dioxide, convert into carbohydrate, and in the process the byproduct is the oxygen gas which go to the atmosphere. Right? Now what happens there? Plants and animals, they carry out respiration. The other method is the respiration. Second method what comes here, that is the respiration. Biological method respiration. Now what happens in respiration? Glucose C6H12O6 with oxygen. With the oxygen, I am writing the reaction. It gets broken down. Glucose is broken down into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus water vapor. Like we as human beings, we take air inside, oxygen, and respiration happens there, and then we throw out carbon dioxide. We take in air which has oxygen, and their aerobic respiration will result into CO2 gas. We give out carbon dioxide gas. So respiration, the byproduct is carbon dioxide gas. So what happens here? How the oxygen cycle comes here? This oxygen which is formed, here it results into formation of oxygen, and this oxygen, right, this oxygen goes into process of respiration. This oxygen goes to the process of respiration. Now respiration results into release of carbon dioxide gas, CO2 gas, and this carbon dioxide is taken in the process of photosynthesis. Did you understand here how oxygen cycle is linked with carbon cycle? In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is used up, oxygen is given out, and that oxygen goes to respiration. In respiration, oxygen is used up, carbon dioxide is given up, that goes into photosynthesis. Is it clear, everyone? What I've drawn the diagram, the second part. Now third aspect, third part of oxygen cycle, right? The third part of oxygen cycle is that oxygen is found in the earth crust, lithosphere, in form of oxide like hematite, magnetite, bauxite, ore, mineral ore. So here, third point which I am writing here, I write here. Earth crust. On the earth crust here, how the oxygen is found? I'll change the marker here. On the earth crust, oxygen is found here. Oxygen is found in mineral ores. In mineral ores, for example, iron ore, hematite, then aluminum ore, bauxite, right? In the earth crust, oxygen is found as ores like iron ore, hematite, magnetite, ores of aluminum, aluminum oxide, bauxite, earth crust. In the form of oxide it is formed, right? Again, you know, chemically iron rust, the rusting of iron, again what happens there? Water, moisture and oxygen and Fe3, Fe2O3 convert into that, rusting of iron there. So again, rusting of iron is also based on that. So fourth is what? Rusting of iron. That is chemical form. Clear? This is the oxygen cycle. What I have given you all the points, this is based on oxygen cycle. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. If you have not understood anything, you can ask me. And what I say always, learning in the classroom. If you try to learn in the classroom, you don't have to open the textbook. There will be no need of opening textbook. If you are able to learn in the classroom. Right? My objective as a teacher is that you all should be learning in the classroom. Right? So that's what I'm trying to do in the classroom here. Oxygen cycle, this is the part of it. If you remember it, then it is a well and good. Right? Any doubt you have, any question you have, you can ask me. I have given very clearly on the whiteboard here. Have you all copied it? Have you all copied it? So please copy the points, whatever the points are there. Rusting of iron is a chemical reaction. Rusting of iron, that I have given here. Rusting of iron. Rusting of iron, I form the iron oxide. It result into iron oxide. In atmosphere, it forms the ozone. I have already, so please copy it. I am giving you time there. In the atmosphere, it forms the ozone layer. Oxygen breaks to form ozone layer. See, chemical reaction is not very important. I'll tell you that chemical reaction is not very important. You don't have to, like, remember the chemical reactions. UPSC is not going to ask you chemical reaction. UPSC is not going to ask you chemical reaction. So please don't remember the chemical reaction. That is not of any worth. Chemical reaction need not have to be. Now you know that COVID-19, oxygen has become so precious. right? Oxygen has become very precious now because of the now people who are suffering with COVID, right? You know, now know that situation of oxygen cylinders and right now what is happening in Delhi and everywhere, right? Please copy it. Have you all copied it? Have you all copied it? सभी ने कॉपी कर लिया है? All right, so now let's see here.
Oxygen cycle. Oxygen cycle, one of the biogeochemical cycles, is closely linked to carbon cycle. The major sources of oxygen are atmosphere and hydrosphere. Approximately 21% of atmosphere is composed of free oxygen, whereas oxygen is seen in the combined form as water in hydrosphere. The importance of oxygen for sustaining life can be understood from the fact that all living things need oxygen for breathing and respiration. Burning also requires oxygen. We will discuss how such a vital gas is maintained in nature. Photosynthesis and respiration are complementary processes in the living world. Photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide and water as raw materials to produce sugars and other organic molecules. These molecules in turn serve as food for other organisms. All of these organisms carry out respiration, a process that uses oxygen to release carbon dioxide from the same carbon atoms contained in the food. Thus, one process uses carbon dioxide and releases oxygen, whereas the other uses oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. These are the two major processes that help to maintain the balance of oxygen in the atmosphere. Another process that adds oxygen to the atmosphere is photodissociation of water vapor. Being a very reactive gas, during its cycling, oxygen combines with various other elements to different solid or gaseous compounds. Oxides of nitrogen and elements like iron, carbonates of calcium, etc. are formed like this. These compounds once again may enter into other biogeochemical cycles. Some oxygen molecules will get converted to ozone, and the reverse will also take place. Observe the given illustration to understand oxygen cycle in its totality.
Is it clear with this video? I have played this video to make you understand. So there's a question from Kunal. Kunal has asked the question how it is rebroken. See here, ozone formation is a reversible reaction. It gets balanced. When I'm writing reversible reaction, it is a balanced reaction. The amount of ozone which is broken and then gets recycled also there, oxygen is there. So you know that I will be discussing in topic of ozone hole formation. Antarctica ozone hole. We'll cover in the classroom when I'll come to the topic of climate change, desertification, ozone layer, ozone hole formation. Again this will, but at that time I will not discuss what is oxygen cycle. I have just drawn with a diagram here. So what happened, there are certain type of compounds, chlorofluorocarbon, freon, which was earlier used at the domestic level as refrigerant, AC, refrigerator, chlorofluorocarbon, refrigerant at a domestic level. Now we have banned, under Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol, we have banned such kind of a chlorofluorocarbon from domestic use, right? So there are certain type of compound, there are certain type of substance which contain chlorine, bromine, nitrogen and hydrogen. they react with ozone and they convert ozone back to oxygen. They break down the ozone. So the ozone layer becomes thinner, what we call ozone hole formation. That is what is seen in the South Pole, Antarctica ozone hole formation. We'll cover that, don't worry. Kunal and all of you in the classroom. See, I am taking a topic stepwise. I am going in a very particular direction. I am going in a very sequential order. How the ozone is broken down, ozone hole formation by chlorofluorocarbon or such compounds, we'll see in the classroom. I will cover when I'll discuss about the ozone layer and protection of ozone layer, Vienna Convention, Montreal Protocol, I'll discuss that. Don't worry. Right? अभी तो पिक्चर बाकी है दोस्त, अभी तो बहुत कुछ पढ़ना है, right? Environment ecology is a very interesting area and you are going to learn a lot of areas there, right? So don't worry. As of now, just understand oxygen cycle is linked with a stratosphere in terms of formation of ozone. As of now, just remember that. But again, just keep at the back of mind that ozone also get broken down by certain type of compounds which contain chlorine, bromine, nitrogen, and they break down the ozone to the oxygen, right? This reaction, what I've written, is a reversible reaction. Kunal, is it clear here? Everybody in the classroom, is it clear? I want motivation in all of you. Okay? Are you able to understand? How's Josh? How's Josh? How's Josh? Right? Good, very good. I want this kind of kind of motivation in you. You must feel motivated, right? And I am there to help you out. Don't worry. I am there as long as I am teaching in the classroom. You don't have to worry about it, right? I'll take care of the environment. Don't worry, right? We'll see the ozone depletion. Later part, we'll see that. All right. So let us. So this part, oxygen cycle. Now again, you all have copied there. I have shown you the oxygen cycle. Still, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. We'll now go to sedimentary cycle, and we'll first learn about phosphorus cycle. We'll go to phosphorus and sulfur, right? Any doubt you have? I'm seeing your response there. If you have any doubt, again, still you can ask me. Good, very good. I want this kind of motivation in all of you. All right, very good. Good, guys. I am very happy. Right, I am very happy. वो मूवी में आता है ना, मिस्टर इंडिया, मुगम्बू खुश हुआ, right? So I am very happy. So that's what you are able to understand. That's a good thing there. So positivity is very, very important. You have to be always positive aspect of that. I have found many students, they are very much worried. ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. I am not able to understand this and that. Lot of negativity. टेंशन में नहीं रहने का, right? No need to take tension. टेंशन नहीं लेने का, ठीक है? So you have to be relaxed and understand the part. Whatever I am teaching in the classroom, you go with that, right? You don't have to have any problem in the exam hall. Just follow with that. So now we'll come to the sedimentary cycle. We will now discuss the sedimentary cycle. Very important part which I am going to cover in the classroom in terms of sedimentary cycle. And first part what I am now coming here, that is a phosphorus cycle. Let us first discuss phosphorus cycle. I have changed the marker so that you are able to write the points there. Phosphorus cycle. Now look at phosphorus cycle here. The first point here. Phosphorus is a very important element. Please write this in your note copy. It is an essential element for living organism. For living organisms. Right? How it is very important for living organisms? And is found in animals. Where in animals is found? And is found in animals in bones and teeth. Bones and teeth. What is bones and teeth made up of? Is made of calcium phosphate. Again, where you find phosphorus? You find phosphorus in DNA and RNA, nucleic acids. What is nucleic acid made up of? Sugar, 5 carbon sugar and phosphate, PO4 3 minus, phosphate group, right? You have a sugar and phosphate group. 5 carbon sugar and you have phosphate group as backbone. DNA and RNA, right? Which I've written sidewise. Now again, where do you find AMP, adenosine monophosphate, adenosine diphosphate, and then energy currency, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. AMP 1 phosphate, ADP 2 phosphate, ATP 3 phosphate. The energy what we get through respiration, ATP, 3 phosphate group, right? So this is the biologically important element. Phosphorus is a very important element. Now again what we use here, we use phosphate fertilizers, right, in agriculture, and soil gets the phosphate. Like for example here, if we take example here, let's take example. What is example here? Ammonium phosphate. Right, which add phosphorus to the soil. And the plant takes up the phosphorus. Right? Now further, what happens further here? Weathering of rock. Now you see here, you have rock, right? Rocks are there. So what happens? There is a weathering. Mechanical weathering, chemical weathering, biological weathering of rocks. So it releases it contains phosphorus. Rocks has got phosphate. Phosphorus is there. So what happened here? Soil, the soil which is formed there, it gets the phosphate from weathering of the rocks. And the plants here, the plant will assimilate the phosphorus, right? Again we use fertilizer, and fertilizer again phosphorus is there. So plant take up there, absorbs. Assimilation, it becomes organic matter. Now this will go to animals by food chain. By food chain it will go to the animals there. Now again something happens here, very important one. Something again takes place here. What happens here? Runoff here. When the rainwater comes down, there is an agriculture runoff. It goes to the rivers, lakes, streams, and then to the ocean, to the water bodies here. So here phosphorus, topsoil, so the phosphate that goes to the water bodies. It goes to the water bodies. And here algae, or phytoplanktons. In sea and ocean, you have phytoplankton like diatom will take the algae and phytoplankton will take phosphorus, and then it will undergo where it will go to the marine, in the sea and ocean. It becomes a part of marine food web. Marine food web, aquatic organism there. Then what happened? Death. When the death happens there, so it gets in terms of marine sediments, it forms as a sediment. It becomes a part of marine sediment, right? Now when the animal and plant die, death of plants and animals, the terrestrial level death of plants and animals, what will happen again? Again, decomposition by bacteria, and again the phosphorus go to the soil. Now what happens? This sediment, right? This sediment, after long time frame, it becomes mineralized. It gets mineralization, then rock formation, result into rock formation, and then come to the surface. What is called here? Geological uplift. It happens over thousands of years, millions of years. It takes millions of years, and this is the part of earth crust. This happened on the earth crust, right? And comes to the surface. I'll again explain. Third point I'm again explaining here. What happened third point here is that rocks, when there is a weathering, soil gets the phosphorus. We also use phosphatic fertilizer, NPK fertilizer. So plant will take the phosphorus, convert into organic matter. From plant it will go to animal through food chain, food web. When the plants animal die, earth crust will get phosphorus, soil will get phosphorus. Now when the rainwater comes, the top soil which contain phosphorus get washed up to the stream, river and all, and go to the rivers and then to the ocean. Algae or phytoplankton will take up phosphorus, they will grow, and they are the producers. They are the producers of marine ecosystem. It will enter to other marine organisms and becomes a part of marine food web. When the algae, phytoplankton, marine organism die, they get deposited as sediment, and then slowly it gets mineralized to the earth crust and form the rock, and then by geological uplift, after hundreds and thousands of years, it come to the surface. It again come as a rock, as a surface, right? So here the sediment deposition happens here. Clear here? Now one more thing about, see what is so unique about phosphorus cycle? What is so unique about phosphorus cycle? Atmosphere is lacking. There is no atmosphere. Phosphorus cycle between the land and the water. Lithosphere, hydrosphere, earth crust. We don't find atmospheric component. Now I am giving one more very important area. I'll write one more point, very important point I am writing here about phosphorus cycle. Guano. There is another thing called guano. Guano part of it, right? There's certain type of bird droppings, right? There's certain type of bird droppings what called guano. Guano, what I've written, GUANO, guano bird droppings. वो बिट होता है ना जो पक्षियों का होता है, राइट? कंटेन फॉस्फोरस. The guano, there's some kind of seabird, guanos, bird droppings, and that contain phosphorus. Let me tell you very interesting aspect, very interesting aspect. I don't know how many people know about it. Peru and Ecuador in South America, where we are talking about South America, Peru and Ecuador, there's a deposit of guano, bird droppings. The seabird which deposit the guanos there, and that guano which contain phosphorus is $1 billion industry. The phosphorus is extracted from the guano deposit and used in industries, industrial phosphorus. You will study this in geography, human geography part. This is the phosphorus cycle. Atmospheric component is lacking there. What I said? Learning in the classroom. If you learn in the classroom, done. Then you don't have to worry about it. Please copy the points. Please copy these points. Then I'll take your doubts. Anywhere, any doubt you have. Anywhere you are not able to understand, you can ask me doubt there. ब्रेक में दे रहा हूं डोंट वरी बच्चों में ब्रेक दूंगा कोई चिंता नहीं करना है इसको रख लीजिए आप कॉपी कर लीजिए आई एम सॉरी आई विल गिव यू ब्रेक देयर डोंट वरी आई गिव द ब्रेक देयर आई गिव द ब्रेक हियर बट जस्ट वरी गिरिधर रामराव चौहान जी assimilation is again the plant will absorb phosphorus and convert the phosphorus into organic material AMP ADP ATP right DNA RNA that will become Giridhar Ramrao Chauhan sorry Giridhar assimilation means bacha right I'll give you break don't worry I'll give you break there Giridhar assimilation means here plants will absorb by roots this phosphorus convert into organic material. Okay, there are certain questions are there. Excess of oxygen is also harmful for atmosphere. Yes, too much oxygen will again it will convert like it will react with other and cause problem there. That is also problem there. Shubham is asking that. Too much oxygen is also there because there is always a balancing aspect in the atmosphere. Atmosphere should not become oxidizing. Oxygen can oxidize the other part of the gases there. That's why too much oxygen is also harmful. All have copied it. I'll give you break here. Have you all copied it? Vision material is too bulky. If I explain the vision as material, Mr. Vivek Kumar, that will take 100 days for me to complete the environment class. Vision material you read yourself. Please read yourself. Because if I start reading the material from Vision IAS, then it will not serve the purpose. कुछ तो चीजें आपके लिए छोड़ना चाहिए. विवेक कुमार आप मटेरियल खुद से पढ़िए यू रीड फ्रॉम योर सेल्फ समथिंग हैज टू बी लेफ्ट टू यू राइट बट वॉट एवर आई एम टीचिंग इन द क्लासरूम दैट इज गिवन इन द विजन आइस मटेरियल राइट इफ आई स्टार्ट 150 पेज विजन मटेरियल वर्ड बाय वर्ड सेंटेंस बाय सेंटेंस वन बाय वन इट विल टेक हंड्रेड्स ऑफ क्लासेस राइट सो प्लीज पार्डन मी ऑन दैट विजन आइस मटेरियल इज बीन गिवन टू यू so that whatever I am teaching in the classroom you can go through that. All right, so please guys, so please read that one. All right, thank you Vivek, you are a very nice student, you can understand, and please दिल पे मेरी बात मत लेना, कोई भी मेरी बात दिल पे मत लेना, ठीक है? So I know you all are very good students. Thank you Vivek. All right, so now let's have break, let's have a break time. We'll take a break here. Are you all there? Everybody is back in the class? अच्छा ठीक है, what I'll do, I will not go to the bottom of the board because right now I am doing all this classroom, what you see right now, that is not the normal visionized classroom, you can understand, right? The camera is fixed and the board is also fixed, so I have got only space like this, so I don't worry. Few of you have raised that part that you are not able to read the below part, the bottom part. I will take care of that. I will not go too below. I'll just keep on the center. All right. So that will be taken care. So all of you understood this phosphorus cycle, and I hope you all have copied this one. So what I was discussing, guano, and there's a guano deposit in Ecuador and Peru, from where the phosphorus for industrial use is extracted from there. right? Is just extracted from there. Let's watch a documentary on that.
This video was made possible by Brilliant. Learn about neural networks, gravitational physics, number theory, and more for 20% off over at brilliant.org/HAI. So what do this and this and this and that have in common? Well, they're all part of this, the United States. Now I know I'll get plenty of comments like these, and for that I'm sorry, but this is going to be another one of those episodes, the America-centric ones. Now what really binds these islands together is that they're all part of the US because of this, bird poop. In the 1700s, everyone was farmers. At the time, the world population was starting to increase faster and faster, but the share of people working in farming was staying roughly the same. All around the world, the soil was losing its nutrients from centuries of farming, so growing was becoming less efficient. That was all until a guy named Alexander von Humboldt went to Peru and discovered guano. And by discovered, we mean he saw natives doing something and decided he invented it. Now, sidebar. Guano equals bird poop. According to the beginning of every bad valediction speech in history, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines guano as a fertilizer containing the accumulated excrement of seabirds or bats. This guano was a miracle fertilizer thanks to its high nitrogen content, and the world became crazy about it. By the 1850s, guano was selling in the US for as much as $75 per pound. That's almost a third the cost of silver. People were making their fortunes by importing bird poop, and the market in the US was dominated by only a few key players who spiked up prices. So, William Henry Seward, the same guy who bought Alaska, introduced a bill in the Senate which would allow any U.S. citizen to claim any uninhabited island for the U.S. as long as it had guano. Guano mania continued. Businessmen went all around the world to find remote, unclaimed islands with guano, and once they did, these islands were added to the U.S. no matter where they were. This is how the country ended up with places like Howland Island, a 1.5-mile-long piece of land in the South Pacific, and Kingman Reef, a gathering of shells reaching no more than 3 feet out of the water. So the question was, how do you fit these places into the U.S.? These islands were not close to the U.S. Some were over 4,000 miles away from the mainland. It didn't make sense to add them as states. Most had no permanent population. It didn't even make sense to add them as territories. The US had to come up with an entirely new classification of land just for these guano islands, the insular areas. Any insular area of the United States was considered officially, by the federal government, a non-integral part of the United States. They had no path to statehood and no independent government. In fact, by law, the U.S. didn't even consider these areas as land. They were ships. Any crimes committed on these guano islands were prosecuted under U.S. maritime law. The only real benefit of these islands being part of the U.S. was that if another country tried to claim these islands, the U.S. military would come knocking. As it turned out, most islands claimed ended up being pretty useless for guano mining. Many were like Palmyra Atoll, too wet for guano to dry into useful fertilizer. But they weren't completely useless. They gave the U.S. an enormous exclusive economic zone. You see, these zones extend 200 miles out from the territory of any country, and within the EEZ, the owning country has exclusive rights to fishing, drilling, and all other economic activity. Still today, Americans have these exclusive rights all around the world thanks to bird poop. The most fascinating part of the Guano Islands Act is that it is still in place today. You can still go and add an island to the U.S. if it has bird poop to mine. Just 20 years ago, an American came across Navassa Island between Haiti and Jamaica, and there was guano, so he put in an application to the Department of the Interior to claim it. They, however, swiftly rejected the claim since they claimed it was already claimed a century earlier. But that makes sense, since today there are no known islands worldwide that aren't already claimed by countries. But that doesn't mean there will never be. Small volcanic islands appear all the time, and so, if the time is right, you could use this antiquated law to add your small bit of rock to these United States. If you do claim an island for the US, you won't want to waste your money on trivialities like building and setting up a school. What will be far more efficient will be to have your residents use Brilliant.org. Brilliant is a fantastic digital learning platform that teaches you not only hard skills, but how to think like a scientist, a statistician, a physicist, whoever you want to think like.
Right, you have seen that Ecuador, South America, Ecuador and Peru, where you have a guano deposit, and then that fertilizer can be made. Now I am coming to the last part of the biogeochemical cycle, sulfur cycle. Let's now come to the sulfur cycle. Right? We are coming to the sedimentary cycle, the sulfur cycle. So point wise I'll go into that. So element sulfur, right, that is a part of rocks and minerals. Right? Then even you know a pyrite ore, when it comes pyrite ore, like sulfur, it contains sulfur, iron pyrite, FeS, iron Fe plus S, sulfur, right? Right, it is found in rocks and minerals, etc. in the earth crust. Right. Now what happens here? Rock, let's say this is a rock, same as a phosphorus cycle. So when there is a weathering, right, the weathering of the rock, please write this in note copy there. The soil will have sulfate, right, and the plants will now again take up the sulfate, right, the plants will take up the sulfate, and from plant it will go to the animals through the part of food chain and food web. Now again, when the agriculture runoff happens there, right, when again there's a runoff, agriculture runoff happens there, so it will go to the water body and to the sea and ocean. It will go to the part of the ocean, right, again here sulfate will go to the ocean there and become the part of the marine food web. It enters the marine food web. It becomes a part of marine food web. Now death of marine organism, that get deposited as a sediment. It deposits as a sediment. And again, plants and animals, the plants and animals when they die, again same as phosphorus, right? Death and decomposition by bacteria. Again that will go to the earth crust. And this sediment, right? This sediment again slowly results into the formation of rock. Right? It goes to the part of earth crust, and again there is mineralization will be there, and again rock formation, and again it will come as a geological uplift, right? It results in geological uplift, and same as phosphorus cycle, this again the event happens there. It comes to the part of the surface, right? Now third aspect here, when the plants and animals they die, the fossil fuel, right? Fossil fuel, right, contains sulfur, organic matter which comes from there, so it contains sulfur there, right? And burning of, right here, burning of fossil fuel, right, burning of fossil fuels such as coal, right, hydrocarbon releases sulfur dioxide gas. Thermal power plant, vehicles, factories, industries release sulfur dioxide gas. That is sulfur dioxide gas to the atmosphere. It goes to the atmosphere. It goes to the atmosphere. Another very important thing, the fourth one is that volcanic eruption, right? Volcanic eruptions. When volcano erupt, volcanic eruption, then hot sulfur spring, like geysers and all. also release sulfur dioxide gas. This also goes to the atmosphere. This also goes to the atmosphere there. Now there is also one more process here. What happens in decomposition of organic matter? Now sulfur, when it goes to the plant, right? When it goes to the plant and the animal, biologically, sulfur get converted into amino acids, enzymes, amino acid. So biologically, if you look at here, when it comes to animal and plant, so here like a sulfur containing amino acids. Protein is made of amino acid. There is certain type of amino acid, for example, cysteine. What is written here? Biologically, if you look at, biologically this protein which is made of amino acid, right? The sulfur containing amino acid called cysteine. That is part of the organic matter, right? Which contains sulfur. So when there is decomposition, again you know that when the decomposition, the fifth point, what I am writing here, decomposition of organic matter which contains sulfur, sulfur containing amino acids. Bacteria break down sulfur containing amino acid and releases hydrogen sulfide gas. What is released there? Hydrogen sulfide gas. Right here. So what I am now writing here, the fifth process I will write here. Decomposition of organic material, organic matter. Decomposition of organic matter containing amino acid, sulfur containing organic matter with sulfur containing amino acids, with sulfur containing amino acids, with sulfur containing amino acids like cysteine, that release rotten egg smell, what is called hydrogen sulfide gas. Which has a rotten egg smell, सड़े हुए अंडे का गंध आता है to atmosphere. Let me read out there what I have written here. The fifth point I have written, decomposition of organic matter, decomposition of organic matter with sulfur containing amino acid like cysteine, cysteine, release hydrogen sulfide gas. What is the gas here? Hydrogen sulfide gas, H2S gas, hydrogen sulfide gas. In bracket I have written rotten egg smell. It gives a bad smell, the rotten egg smell, rotten egg smell to the atmosphere. It goes to the atmosphere. And again you know that. What will happen with the atmosphere? Sulfur dioxide dissolve with rainwater and result into acid rain. The main cycle responsible for acid rain is the sulfur cycle. Right? So I'll write sidewise here. What is the sixth point here? Point number 6 is that sulfur dioxide gas dissolves, right? Sulfur dioxide gas dissolves in rainwater forming acid rain. Which come to the earth crust, which come to the land and water, which come down to the earth. What is sixth point here? I'll read out there. Those of you cannot see, I'm reading out. Sulfur dioxide gas, arrow, dissolves in rainwater, forming acid rain, which come down to the earth's surface. Right? So this is the entire sulfur cycle. All the 6 points what I have written There is a part of sulfur cycle. Please copy it. First copy. Same. I'll take your doubt. पहले आप copy कीजिए. White board को copy कीजिए. First you copy the point, then I'll again explain. I'll do the explanation one more time. But first copy the whiteboard. I'm giving you time. Please copy that. I'll again explain, don't worry, first copy the point. The fifth point, I'll explain that. Decomposition of organic matter with sulfur containing amino acid release hydrogen sulfide gas, rotten egg smell to atmosphere. I'll explain that. First, Ishika Singh, first you copy the points. I request everybody first copy all the points. I'll explain again. Okay, there is a question by Shraddha. Shraddha has asked me a question that algae and other sea plants, when they carry out photosynthesis, then the oxygen will be released by them, and that oxygen will dissolve completely in water or release in the atmosphere also. They will dissolve in the seagrass bed or algae. The oxygen which is formed, they dissolve in the water also and released to the atmosphere also. Now what Shraddha is asking that, if this dissolve in water, then proportionally oxygen level must be increased in water with the use of the decomposition. It's not like that. See, decomposition process is a different process. My dear student, Shraddha, don't mix two things together. Decomposition happens after death. When those algae will die, after death of the algae, aerobic bacteria will break down all the organic matter of algae with the help of dissolved oxygen. That is a separate process. Shraddha, are you able to understand? That is separate process. Why you are mixing with that oxygen part? Algae and other sea plant which carry out photosynthesis, they also release oxygen. That's good. Oxygen will go to atmosphere also and dissolve in water also there. But again, what is the loss of oxygen? How the BOD happens? The BOD happens when the algae dies, death of sea plants, and that is broken down by aerobic bacteria, and in the process of decomposition, aerobic bacteria use to dissolve oxygen. Is it clear here? Shraddha, is Shraddha here? Is Shraddha in the class? Did you understand, Shraddha? You are mix. See, decomposition process is something different. Right? Decomposition process is a very different process there. I don't know whether she is there in the classroom or not, but she has asked a doubt there. She is saying that if oxygen gets dissolved in water, then proportionally oxygen level must be increased in water with the use of decomposition. See, with the decomposition, organic matter will be broken down by aerobic bacteria. So there may be a balance, but that will get again consumed there. All right? Anyway, have you all copied it? Please copy it fast. I will explain the points again. Have you all copied the points? Have you all copied the points? Please give me reply very fast. I'll then I'll again explain the sulfur cycle. Have you all copied the points? Please respond me. I will again explain the sulfur cycle. First, I want that you all have copied the point there. All right. Now let's say come to the explanation part. Now one by one, I'll go through it one by one, right? It's good that you all have copied it. Now let me explain one by one. I am going through it one by one, right? Now pay attention to the board. Now all of you pay attention to the board. I am explaining each point once again. Sulfur, right? Where do you find sulfur? Sulfur is the part of rock and minerals. The elemental sulfur is found in the rocks and minerals and ore like pyrite ore, sulfur, iron sulfide, iron pyrite, there's all this, etc. in the earth crust. In the earth crust, sulfur is the part of rocks, minerals, ores, sulfur ores like iron pyrite and all this. Point number one. Point number two. Rock, there is a weathering where the rock is broken down by chemical process, mechanical process. It's broken down, and the soil, when the soil is formed, soil will contain sulfate, which has the element sulfur. Now the plant will take up the sulfate. Plant will take up the sulfate. Even we use fertilizer, ammonium sulfate. We use the fertilizer, ammonium sulfate, ammonium phosphate. So the soil with sulfate, and from the rocks which is weathering, the sulfur will be taken by the plants. Plant will use the sulfur to make enzymes. Enzymes, and there is one type of amino acid called cysteine, cysteine. What I've written here? Sulfur containing amino acid, example cysteine, cysteine. So that becomes the part of protein. Now plant will be eaten by animals. So this protein containing amino acid with sulfur will enter the food chain. Herbivores, carnivores and all. Clear? Now look at the soil which contains sulfur and the sulfate. When the rainwater will come, right, it will wash off the topsoil which has got the sulfur. So this sulfur will wash up to the streams, rivers, and then finally will go to the ocean. Now the sulfur here will be taken by algae, phytoplankton, and they are the producers of marine food web. And from phytoplankton, algae, it will go to the other marine organisms. They will go to other marine organisms. So it will enter the marine food web in the ocean. Now when the algae will die, death of algae, death of phytoplanktons, death of marine organisms, so that get buried as a deposit, as a marine sediment. And then after a very long time, it is a very slow process, very long time, it's a very slow process. Slowly this sulfur will get mineralization, and again form the rock, and then the uplift, it will come to the surface. Meanwhile, plants and animals which will die, death of plants and animals, bacteria will break down organic matter, right, the organic matter in the earth crust. And what happens here? Decomposition of organic matter. Point number 5, decomposition of organic matter with sulfur containing amino acid like cysteine, which has a sulfur. So the bacteria which will break down will release this hydrogen sulfide gas, H2S, rotten egg smell, hydrogen sulfide gas which goes to the atmosphere. Now, when we burn fossil fuel, point number 3, when we burn fossil fuel containing sulfur, and burning of fossil fuels such as coal, like coal, hydrocarbons like in car, diesel, petrol, then thermal power plant burning of coal, it will release sulfur dioxide gas to the atmosphere. Point number 5, volcanic eruption, volcanoes which erupt, volcanic eruption, hot sulfur springs, they also release sulfur dioxide gas to the atmosphere. So all this sulfur dioxide gas which goes to the atmosphere will dissolve with rainwater and come as acid rain. That is this point. Sulfur dioxide gas will dissolve in rainwater forming acid rain, which come down to the earth surface. इतना आसान चीज है, बच्चों कैसे होगा? How will you pass the UPSC exam? I am having so much of faith on you that you all guys will pass the exam. और ये सारी चीजें आप समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं तो I am very sad. Right? There is a simple thing here. This is very simple aspect which I have explained. If you have to pass the UPSC exam, you have to know the theory part, application part, current aspect, then you will become an IAS officer. And I know very well. आजकल क्या है ना, यूपीएससी नेशनल पास टाइम हो चुका है ना, हॉबी. जिनसे पूछो क्या करना है बेटा, आईएएस ऑफिसर बनना है, राइट? क्या करना है बच्चा, सिविल सर्वेंट बनना है. एंड दैट इज नाउ बिकम फेवरेट थिंग. दिस लड़की, दैट गर्ल, बड़ी होशियार लड़की थी वो, क्या नाम था यार उसका, दैट टॉपर, दैट गर्ल हु टॉप द सिविल सर्विस एग्जाम. आई एम फॉरगेटिंग हर नेम. कैन एनीवन टेल मी व्हाट इज हर नेम, दैट गर्ल हु मैरिड विद Athar, that from Jammu and Kashmir, and then also divorced it. What is the name of that girl? I am forgetting her name. I don't know. I'm just slipping out of the mind that girl who topped the UPSC exam, she started preparing from class 12th only. Now what has happened? Many of the students, and they've joined the college first year, IAS theory. Parents are also worried. मेरा बेटा आईएएस बनेगा, मेरी बेटी आईएएस बनेगी. राइट? अभी से तैयारी करो. So this is what happens. I know that you all are beginners. I appreciate that fact that you are all having a dream. You have dreamed. You have a dream to become an IAS officer, a dream to become a civil servant of country. So you have to take a little bit of effort. See, every time if I start explaining 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, तो 3 घंटा तो गया, 3 hours is gone. Vision IAS does not provide me extra classes. I'll tell you. Vision IAS only provides me some limited number of, there are classes are there. Right? When I take the class, we have very limited number of classes. But still I am trying to help you out with all the basic concepts. So you all have to cooperate with me. I need your cooperation. So these all the points are there. And you will think everything spoon feeding will not work. You have to open the textbook. You have to open the Vision IAS study material and also read that. Unless until you don't do that, I can explain 100 times. You will never understand. Unless until you don't read. Clear here? Are you able to understand that part? All right. Is it clear here? So now biogeochemical cycle is over. All right, biogeochemical cycle is now over. Acid rain will cover in the pollution topic. When I come to the topic of pollution, there I'll do the acid rain. All right. So now let's take few questions there. I'll take few questions here. Right. You should always look into previous year question paper. Now let me take few questions here, and then after that I'll go to the next topic here. Let's look at the few questions here. You have any doubt, please ask me. Yeah, Tina Dabi, yeah, I remember that. Tina Dabi, yes. Tanvi Gupta, please, I'll explain that. Tanvi Gupta, I'm going to explain your concept. Tanvi Gupta, I'm going to explain your concept. Don't worry now. Tanvi Gupta, I'll just come to your part of it. Don't worry. I am now coming to your question only there. I have already conveyed you the information through batch coordinator. I am coming to the question of Tanvi Gupta. She is asking me a question on that. I'm just coming to her question. See, Tanvi Gupta has asked me question. I'll first read the question of Tanvi Gupta. Tanvi Gupta has asked me a question that allogenic, autogenic and autotrophic succession with examples. Tanvi Gupta has asked me this question. Now I'm coming to that part. What Tanvi Gupta has asked me question there. So this is given in your Vision IS material. I'm addressing the question of Tanvi Gupta. Ecological succession part, right? In the Vision IS material, you have this kind of given there. Other prominent type of ecological succession there. See, what is the first one? Autotrophic succession. This is a doubt raised by Tanvi Gupta. I am giving her answer here because she is asking this question so many times. So let me finish her doubt here. Autotrophic succession, see here, is the early and continued dominance of autotrophic plants like green plants, where you have initially green plants, right? You have a soil with all the minerals, and then it is started with the green plants and all. This is called autotrophic succession, right? Let's see here example. If you have any example here, see, whenever you have any problem in understanding now, you have always free to use the Google search. See here, I'll show you the example here. Go to the images here. Yet go to the images here. See here, inorganic compounds and all, where it comes here. Like for example, this one. What happens there initially? If you take here rocks, you have a lichens and all which break down the rock. You have small annual plants. This is small annual plants, and then you have continuously. What happens in this case? Continuously you get the part of the perennial herbs, grasses, all this. This is called autotrophic. This is called as a autotrophic succession. This is the autotrophic succession. Right? This is the autotrophic succession comes into that. Like this is one. These are autotrophic succession which starts with green plants. Right? Based on green plants. See what is given here? The succession where initially the green plants are much greater in quantity than the animals. Where you have more number of green plants than animals, that is called autotrophic succession. Right? That is autotrophic. What is heterotrophic succession? Where you have animals more, like heterotrophic organ like bacteria, right? Fungi are present in greater quantity. That is heterotrophic succession. Right? This is what is given there. Autotrophic succession. Now what is allogenic succession? Tanvi is asking the question that what is allogenic succession? What is allogenic succession here? Allogenic succession is that where the replacement of the existing community is done by external condition and not by existing organism. That means the outside condition. There may be arrival of species from outside. एलोजेनिक सक्सेशन में क्या होता है, बाहर के फैक्टर्स के कारण वहां पर बदलाव होता है. द आउटसाइड स्पीसीज में कम टू दैट साइट. दैट इज कॉल्ड एलोजेनिक. That is called as a allogenic. Let's see here, allogenic. The outside species comes there, right? Outside species come into that and occupies that. That is done from outside, which comes here, allogenic, right? That comes from outside part of it. Let's say here this one. Species composition is disturbed by environmental factors, like for example hurricane, forest fire, flooding, climate change, external reason, and this happens in secondary succession. Secondary succession, what happens in secondary succession? Because of forest fire, flood, some kind of event will make the changes to that area, and there will be replacement of the community. So that is called allogenic succession. This is called as a allogenic succession. What is allogenic succession? Which happens because of the external factors. Now see here. What is the next one here? Autogenic succession. What is autogenic succession? It is referred to where the community itself, as a result of the reaction with the environment, modified its own environment and caused the replacement. That is the primary succession. Autogenic happens in the primary environment, like here, changes in the environment conditions which lead to changes in species composition of ecosystem caused by biological process of the organism themselves, like trees shedding and killing the plants underneath that requires high sunlight. Let's say there are trees which can shade and kill the other plants which is inside there, which will require high sunlight and all this. Own biological process, autogenic. That is the part of here autogenic succession, where the biological process of the organisms themselves modify the succession process. That's called autogenic. Right? Then in the handout, you have been given here hydrarch, where the succession status happens in shallow water, like pond and lake. Right? That is called as a hydrarch succession. Hydrarch means water. Xerarch succession. What is xerarch succession? Which happens on the bare ground, rock, barren land, and then the forest comes up. That goes xerarch succession. Tanvi Gupta, is it clear here? Tanvi, are you able to understand? Tanvi, are you able to understand here? Are you able to understand, Tanvi? Tanvi, is that your doubt clear now? Tanvi Gupta, what I have explained here, did you understand the part? Okay guys, what I'll do here, this part comes here. So here we end the biogeochemical cycle there, right? I have ended the biogeochemical cycle, and I hope you all have written this point. Or see, always remember, allogenic, which happens because of external condition, flood and climate change, all those areas, that is called allogenic. Allogenic comes from outside factor. Autogenic happens inside by the species themselves. Autogenic by species themselves, that is called autogenic succession. Tanvi was asking question from the ecological succession of last class, which I explained there, right? Now what I'll do here, since we have completed biogeochemical cycle here, all right, so just I'll take two questions, and with that we'll end up the class. The first question here is that, question number 3, I am coming here. Which of following environmental issues are linked with nitrogen cycle? I have already explained in the classroom there. Let me take the question here. The first one here, photochemical smog, right? Then second here, I am giving here another one, that is a eutrophication. Right, eutrophication part, photochemical smog, which I have already explained here. Then in terms of here, algal bloom. So it is very simple here. What will the answer will be here? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and answer here 1, 2, 3. So what will be answer here? We have already discussed in the classroom there, which is linked with nitrogen cycle. So it can cause all of this. All of this can be caused. So answer will be D. Here the answer will be D here. Because all this can be caused because of the nitrogen emission. More emission to the environment can cause to all such environmental problems there. Alright. Now I'll ask her. So here is it clear here? Now let me take another question. Question number 4. Which of nutrient cycle are responsible for acid rain? Let's say this is another question. Right? Which of the nutrient cycles are responsible for acid rain? Let's say here water cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle. What will be answer here? Let's say A, 3 only, B, 2 and 3 only, C, 1, 2 and 3, and D, none. So what will be answer here? What will be answer here? D is the none. Let me write here. D as a none. So what will be answer here? What I have given, which of the nutrient cycle responsible for acid rain? Because of emission of nitrogen, nitric acid, nitric acid and sulfur cycle. So the answer will be here B, 2 and 3 only. Do you understand? Responsible. Water cycle, see rainwater, I have given you options water cycle. Sulfur dioxide gas can dissolve with rain, right, and form sulfuric acid and all, strong acid, or nitrogen dioxide react with the rain and form the nitrous and nitric acid. So water cycle is not responsible. The responsible is the sulfur dioxide emission. Responsible is the nitrogen dioxide emission. So the answer will be nitrogen cycle and sulfur cycle. Answer will be 2 and 3. B as an answer. I hope you will be able to solve such questions. Right? I hope you will be able to solve such simple questions if asked in the exam. What I have done here. Right? Yeah, fossil and volcanometer is also from earth crust only there. Gerarch happens in the part of the dry area, barren land there. And there is also an example of autotrophic. Autotrophic is also example of Gerarchs there. All right, guys, you are doing really well. See, UPSC journey and what you want to know, that is outside the preview of the class, right? But I can tell you that I have been to the interview board twice. 2 times I have faced interview board and I missed by just 5 marks. Right? I can only tell you this much. I have appeared right? In the UPSC exam, 2 times I have faced the interview board, right? So that my UPSC journey and all, you are asking irrelevant question, right? You are asking very irrelevant question about my journey, because this is the classroom program. This is not a personal kind of chat kind of program, right? I generally avoid this kind of questions in the classroom. I respect your question of asking my kind of experience and all, but generally whenever I start any class or any batch, I don't tell about myself, right? I don't tell about myself, because I believe that the action speaks louder than words, right? What I believe is that action speaks louder than words, right? So you all are preparing for UPSC exam, and please go on ahead with that, and you can make it that, right? So please try to avoid all such kind of personal question, that, right? But since you have asked, I respect your question. I can tell you that it's not that the person who is teaching you has not gone through the UPSC journey. I've already mentioned that. I just missed by 5 marks, right? But I am there, and I've been teaching for 15 years. For last 15 years, I've been teaching this subject of environment ecology when there were no such questions too much asked in the exam. I've been doing that one. All right. So there will be time, like personal chat and all can be done there. So please try to avoid all those. Please try to focus on the subject matter. All right. So all right, I'll stop the class here. I thank all of you. We'll stop the class here. Biogeochemical cycle. Please read, study Vision IS study material. Please read and come to the class. If you don't read and come to the class, it will be of no use attending the class. So I humbly request all of you, please read Vision IS material beforehand and then come to the class. I'll give you the topic of next class. Next class we are going to study about biodiversity part, right? Biodiversity part and ecosystem services, biodiversity values. So I'll be discussing ecosystem services, biodiversity values, and all those topics I'll cover in the classroom. All right. So I'll end up the class with the assignment question here. The assignment question here, is that discuss environmental issues. This you have to write in your means point of view question. I'm giving water issues relating to excess nitrogen, and phosphorus in environment. This is your subjective question. Discuss environmental issues relating to excess nitrogen and phosphorus in environment, and you have to answer in 150 to 200 words. You have to answer in 150 to 200 words. 10 marks question here. The question 10 marks question. This is your homework assignment question. Try to write there, and I am very, I am very sure that you will be able to write this answer in 150 to 200 words. You have to write from the perspective of nitrogen cycle and phosphorus cycle. Discuss environmental issues relating to excess nitrogen and phosphorus in environment. Right? 10 marks question. I hope that whatever efforts I am making in the classroom to interconnect the topics with applied areas, with the theory part, you are able to understand it, you are able to remember it, and you are writing the points on the whiteboard in your note copy so that you can revise before the exam. And please read the Vision IS study material, right, which will make you understanding more better, or whichever environment book you have, it will help you understand concepts more better. Merely simply coming to the class will not suffice. You have to also do homework. You have to read there. That is my humble request to all of you. All right. So next class our topic will be biological diversity. It's a very, very important topic I am going to cover in the classroom. and you all will enjoy the class, right? There's going to be very interesting class on biodiversity, ecosystem services and all. So we'll be discussing that in the next class. All right. I hope everything is clear to everybody. So we'll stop the class here, and thank you everyone. We will meet in the next class. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. Be indoor. Take care of your health. Right? All right. Thank you. Good night. Good night everyone.